Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Labman. I am your host, Joseph Labman. Appreciate you guys for tuning in this Thanksgiving week. Hope you guys are having a good week. Happy Thanksgiving to you all, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. Hope you guys have a good, safe, and healthy holiday. Spending time with each other, and yeah, go Bucks this weekend as well. Big game this Saturday, Ohio State versus Michigan. So we'll be looking forward to that. Obviously, you guys know if you've been following my channel. Chris Gerganis, who is a Michigan fan. He's from Detroit and is a, contributor on the show on our Sunday Lives. We talk football. He made a bet with somebody. If you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend going and seeing that. It's very funny. But the bet is insane. If Ohio State wins, it will leave a permanent mark on Chris in a very unique place. Just leave it at that. So you have to go check out the video. But so looking forward to that. And if Ohio State does win Saturday, we will be live after that game, no matter what, win or lose. But if they do win, it's going to be insane because of that bet. So, and Chris will be there. Chris ain't backing down. So he's there no matter what. And if the Buckeyes lose again, then I'll be there too. It is what it is. But you know, today it's just football. But um, no, I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell so you can get alerts when I make future videos. And yeah, everybody hit the like button for me. It really helps me fight those algorithms. You know, it's a young YouTuber starting from the bottom. Really need help with the like buttons, and every time you guys hit the like button for me, it helps me fight the algorithms. That's what I meant to say. Helps me fight the algorithms when you guys hit the like button for me. And yeah, really appreciate it if you guys can do that for me. So I wanted to come on here today. Obviously, this week's Thanksgiving, and kind of share a message, something I've been thinking about the last couple weeks in particular, and kind of a lot of things I've had to kind of, well, some things that a lot of things I've sat back and kind of reflected on the last week or two, and kind of this year alone, and just reflecting on this year and what am I really thankful for from this year, but also what am I thankful for in general in my life, and just kind of the last 9 years of all I've been through, starting back in 20. Really, I've always said on this channel, my anxiety disorder really started in 2015. But I would really say when I went to a new school in 2014 as a freshman, at 15 years old, that's probably when really my journey began because um, I was experiencing anxiety throughout that year, which I've detailed on the show before in previous episodes. But also just kind of that was a new chapter in my life. Before that, I went to the same school, had the same friends, had the same group of people I was around for most of my life. So that was kind of beginning of a new era for me and a new chapter and a very brand new environment that I wasn't used to. Different, not all, but a lot of different type of people as well, different cultures. So um, yeah, but at 9 years, it was a lot I went through, obviously. But in my down years and sometimes even I'd say even in the last couple years, being I'd say the last couple years being back out really like around people, reconnecting with people again and getting back to normal life. 'Cause I was from 2015 or 2015 when I left school and I was in the house for a while and very bad with anxiety and panic and agoraphobia. It was like being in prison for about 6, 7 years. Um, yeah, it probably trying to think 2015, yeah, 7 years. It was like being in prison. And so getting out of prison, it's not prison, actually prison, but mental prison, not being able to go out and live your life locked in your house, basically, not really your normal life was gone for so long. My normal life was gone, my day-to-day life, what I was used to. And, you know, that's something I've had to really adapt to the last couple years, kind of getting reacclimated again, I guess you could say, year and a half or two. Because it really is like getting out of prison. And I've actually listened to certain people tell testimonies and stories that were in actual prison for a long time. And Dennis has detailed in his show before, shot the anxiety guy, about what life was like when he got fully over anxiety. It's different. It's a change because you're so used to being in that state and you're so used to expecting that every day. when you first get in it, when you get in like a deep one, like I was in a deep disorder and struggle with agoraphobia, and you can't leave the house, everything just kind of gone just like that. Um, obviously that's an adjustment. That took me down a dark road of depression, and to a point where I never knew if I'd ever really be able to go a block from my house ever again in my life. I mean, I really questioned that at times, like because my confidence was so low, and just I didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do. Nothing was working for me, and so, um, but now even getting out of that, which I'm thankful for. That's one of the things. The first thing I'm thankful for is being able to be where I'm at now, being able to do this show, being able to pursue my goals and my dreams, being able to reconnect with people, new people, the new people God has brought in my life, new friends, and family members I've gotten to know more. It's been awesome being able to go back home, around town, about places I haven't been to. Like I went back earlier today, actually, to like an old Circle K on the side of town I grew up on. It's a little more rundown now, not as safe, but um, even going back in there though, going down memory lane and just kind of seeing everything. It's been really cool. It's been awesome to reconnect people. Like I ran into somebody a couple weeks ago who saw me as a kid growing up. Was really good friends with her son as well, and just her reaction seeing me and seeing her, it was awesome. Like she was like a mother to me growing up. One of those like teen moms you'd always see. Um, that was just everybody was her kid. One of those like just she took care of everybody, and that's how my mom was too for a lot of people. And but it was really cool to see just those interactions, having those type of things happen. Has been awesome, but it's been a readjustment, and that readjustment at times has been really hard, and it's been test my patience at times. It can test my patience, can test my um, I don't know. Sometimes some days you have to really look yourself in the mirror and just be, really keep key in and focused on what your goal is, what your purpose is in life, and understand that God has a will and a purpose for your life, and that you are in your I am in my calling now, my divine calling of giving back to people what I had to go through those years of hell. I had to go through those to be able to identify with people on certain things and to learn for myself to be able to get where I'm at now. You know, I had that was basically my I started college early, basically, um, from 15 years old all the way to 22. That was my college years. So of just learning what anxiety. I mean, a master class in anxiety, experiencing it, and then obviously learning about it and overcoming it, and just many other things in life. I mean, just my spiritual growth, my uh, physical growth. I mean, just everything. A lot of things about growth. I mean, and just helping people and how to help people and how to identify with people in certain things. Going through hard times, how to make it out of that. Um, living life with not much. I mean, it was. That's why I'd say it was like prison because it was everything was like gone. Everything I was used to, everything I had, my friends, my family, going to school, a lot of things were just taken away from you like that. And so you kind of left with, I met you many times, being out on a bicycle at 12:30 at night, competing with the anxiety, trying to bulldoze my hand, just trying to do something to get myself going, to get my confidence going, and trying to go further from the house at the time with the agoraphobia and going through that. But that was very humbling though. And I'm thankful I went through that as hard as that was because it will always that'll always be my foundation, my perspective. No matter how big my show grows, how else I want to grow it, no matter where I get in life, that's always going to be me and my character. I'm never going to change who I am because I'll never forget as much, as happy as you can be at times or as fun or as great things can be. You never forget what you felt in those moments. What I mean? It keeps you grounded, keep things in perspective. It also helps you in tough times. When you think things are horrible or bad or you're never going to make it. It helps you to refocus on truth and remember that, man, if I made it through that, if God carried me through that, and I'm still here, and my worst fear never happened because it was an illusion to begin with, then I got it pretty good. Like, why should I worry about this? Yeah, I mean, something I've had to work on and what I was getting at about what some of the challenges of coming out of anxiety. And this is where gratitude, like I said there in the bottom, what am I thankful for this year? Why this year to me, for myself, was the most important year of growth of my life. And this year will always probably be the real foundation for where I'm going next in my journey of life, where God's taking me. You know, as I advance this show, as I advance my life, my personal life, and pursue things, and get back to normalcy, like full normalcy, like I've been doing, is one of the things I'm grateful for is what I've been through, and not only what I've been through, but also that having that um, perspective of when I have moments now. I'm getting my thoughts mixed up. I'm trying to think of so. Let me clarify. Let me backtrack a little bit. Um, no, what I was about to say was when I have moments now where I feel a little impatient. I feel that impatience, right? Or if you have moments where maybe you have a desire within you that hasn't been fulfilled, or you have certain goals and dreams and aspirations that you still want to achieve, or you know what I mean. Sometimes that when you've been on the road for so long, it just feels like it's just you just wonder like, man, is it ever gonna finally click? You know what I mean? Is it ever like when you've been going through tough times for a long time and you've been waiting for so long for certain things and you're getting better, but you just want there's certain things you just really want. You know what I mean? There's certain things in your life you finally want to have and be able to experience and go through and to achieve and things like that. It can start to wear on you. And so, what I was about to say before I had to backtrack, um, I look back though on what I went through, and I look back at what I went through helps me understand. Like I said, if I made it this far, those things will happen. But also, I also look at something else, and I had to change. I gained this perspective within the last couple of weeks with some things that have happened in my life, just me finally deciding to um, look at things for what they really are and find out what things really are. Um, God really spared me from a lot of trouble. Oftentimes we look at all the negatives in our life and all the things that we think we don't have yet, we need to get now. The world tells us right now, if you're not doing X, Y, and Z by the age of 24, then you're behind. When in reality, everybody has their own unique plan that God has a unique plan for each individual. And so God has a unique plan for each one of us. And within that plan, time is very important with God. Time to God is very important because He needs to develop you and mold you and set things up properly. But also, God will also protect you. And He protected me. And He spared me from a lot of troubles and a lot of things. And a lot of things I didn't see for a long time. There was a lot of things I wanted, desires, desired things and uh, pursued things. But God always said, no, no, no. In certain situations, God would pull me back. And He said, that wasn't for you. This environment wasn't for you. These people, that person was not for you. Uh, where I have you right now, yes, I know you want to be here, Joseph, but that's not for you. It may, I know you don't prefer it right now, but wait till you see what I have down the road. It's better. And so that's perspective. That's gratitude, though, when you look at it from that way. And I had to really sit this year and look at all the things going through the inner circle program, overcoming anxiety, and moving beyond anxiety and then just everything. I've been able to really look back now and see all that what God really spared me from in the last in that 7 year period, especially the last nine though. And in that 7 year period, He spared me from a lot of things. He took me out of a lot of environments. He helped me avoid certain situations that I would not have, certain temptations and things I maybe at a younger age I would have not really I would have got nervous or I would have caved in. Not really gonna say caved in, but um, you never know. You know what I mean? You're younger or just pressure, you know what I mean? Pressured situations or situations maybe I would have not want to been in or environments I would not have been around. I would have really I mean had God never pulled me out of that school at 15 years old and put me on the path that He had for me, um, by the time I was 19, 20 years old, my confidence would have been in the gutter. I would have been just in the gutter. I mean, like gutter, like Yeah, I was in some low moments in that time during then, but I've always been trending upwards. Everything's been leading me to where I am now, which is upwards. I've been trending downwards, and I probably would have no idea of what to do with my life had I done the original plan, which myself and my parents planned for me at 14 years old. We thought, which was usually the norm. Usually you go to high school, you graduate, maybe you go to college or find a career after high school, whatever. But my path just hasn't been the norm, obviously, which I accept, which that's something I've always, which has also helped me because that's something I've always kind of had planted in me since I was a kid. I remember being 4 or 5 years old and you driving in the car with my dad, going up to the Cavs games and just, or it's just as a little kid, like seeing like going to the big cities or just being around certain things and seeing certain environments, witnessing certain things as a kid, or driving in the car with certain music on, like inspirational music, like as a kid, like all of that, and playing sports, I always wanted to do something greater than me. That's just something I've always wanted to do. Since I was a kid, I just had it always planned, like that God planted the seed in me to chase something bigger than me, and that was always what I wanted to do. And that's kind of what I've been doing now. I don't really realize yet. I mean, obviously, I have a small platform, beginner, um, but some of the impact that I've people have told me that they've had through my show, I've had on them through my show. I don't say it's me either. I'd say it's God just working through me. But sometimes when I hear it, though, I get goosebumps, and I kind of like I sit and reflect on it, and I was like, man, and it helps me really put in perspective too. All that 7 years, it was all worth it. If I just helped one soul, one person, that 7 years, whatever I went through, the hell I went through, was worth it. Whatever thought I missed out on, the things I wasn't able to do like everybody else, it was all worth it, and I'd do it all over again. But um, it's about perspective, and that helps me when I think of it like that. But also, I'm very thankful though that, for like I said, he spared me from trouble. He spared me from a lot of things, and one of them being too, like, I'm 24 years old. Um, haven't been in a relationship yet. I'm single. But had I been in a relationship 2 years ago, I don't even say a year ago, 2 years ago, and especially in those down years, or even back in younger, it would have been terrible. Like, it would have been awful, and I would have felt bad because I would have felt like I let somebody down, or I was a burden to somebody, or you know, um, yeah, I would have felt horrible. Not that it was my fault what I was going through, but I would have felt horrible dragging somebody else into that, and giving my baggage to them. I would have felt horrible, and who knows? And God probably spared me from a bad relationship, anyways. Maybe somebody would have been good for me, anyways. They would have took me down the wrong path, or I wouldn't be able to achieve. Well, I wouldn't be able to achieve or get to where I'm at now. And my relationship with the Lord most probably wouldn't be where it's at now had I had that before in those previous years, a relationship. So that's one of the things I'm thankful for. No, obviously, yes. Now I'm kind of at a point now with it where I'm just like, God, it's in your hands. God has someone custom made for me, and at the right time, it'll happen. I'm not. I'd say, yeah, the last couple of years it was kind of weighing on me a little bit more, but because coming out of that prison, you're kind of like, okay, I want to have some fun. I want to go out, maybe meet somebody or start talking to somebody, and be a young 20-year old. But I'm kind of just at a point though now, though, like going through this year, the program, overcoming things. Learning serenity, which you guys heard me talk a lot about on this show. It's just kind of, I just really surrender that to God, because I feel like a lot of people my age nowadays, whether they're single or they haven't achieved certain things where they want to be financially yet, where the world says you have to be, um, all these certain status shit that the world says we need to accomplish, and that social media, especially apps like TikTok, pump out constantly. Certain, this is the lifestyle you have to live. This is the image you have to portray. This is the status you need to be, which is all fake too. It's not real. A lot of people though are cheating the process because they're caving in to that. And a lot of people my age, and They can't handle that. They can't. It's okay to have desires and wants, but a lot of people though, man, they are just really like just going for it all right now. It's like Brett Favre said on. I heard Brett Favre recently on Jason Whitlock's show Fearless, and he said he was talking about he has a daughter who's 24, and there was that poll that came out recently. It was like 30 places you can't take someone on a date, on a first date or something like that. It was like some poll online. It was kind of, some of them were on the list, right, made sense, but some of them were kind of outrageous. Like it was just kind of like very, I thought it was very secular, to be honest with you, like just very worldly kind of the list, just very the typical stuff you see nowadays, just ruins everything. And just over dramatic, just unrealistic, fake, phony lifestyle that they're trying to portray everybody to live. But um, anyways, but they were asking. Jason asked Brett about that, and Brett was talking about he has a 24-year-old daughter who is saying kind of like me in a way, and she's always asking him like, am I ever gonna meet someone, Dad? Am I ever gonna meet someone? He's like, you will, you will. You just gotta get out more. But he was talking though. Brett said something about kids nowadays, 25 younger. Everybody wants to grow up so fast. And everybody wants to hurry up and get married. Everybody wants to hurry up and have a kid. Everybody wants to hurry up and get a job. Everybody wants to hurry up and that's all great, and actually that's part of life. That's what we all do, right? That's part of life. But obviously, and there's certain things you should achieve. You should be pursuing now and stuff like that, especially out of high school. But I think a lot of people though nowadays are doing it for the wrong reasons. And when you do it for the wrong reasons, there's a lot of believers too. People who say they're believers or but they do belong to Christ, but they've kind of gone off the straight and narrow a little bit. Um, when you start to allow that information that the world puts out, and when you allow those desires and those um, ambitious things, that mentality, that kind of that lifestyle, like I was saying, a lot of people are cheating the process now, and they're selling themselves short because they're trying to get it all, gain it all right now. They're trying to get the lifestyle, the dream that they want, what they think is the dream. They're trying to get it all right now, and they're trying to grow up and be. You got 24-year-olds or younger trying to be 45, 50-year-olds right now. Like it's like they're trying to fast forward and speed up their life as soon as possible. But a lot of them though, they're not really pursuing any real dreams. They don't have any real goals in their own life, their personal life. They don't really You don't see a lot of growth within people nowadays. They're taking the same shit, the same baggage, the same everything. They're just taking it into that and trying to cover it up and trying to, put a picture over it and over what's really going on the inside and put it out there because they feel like that's accepted. That's how you're accepted. That's how you've made this certain status and achievement in life. You can have all the money and all the stuff, but you really didn't achieve anything. And it's funny because a lot of these people they don't understand. Like I learned this from listening to a lot of ex former pro athletes. Some that I've met in person have said this, and some that I've listened to. Um, and they've all told me, and I've heard them say on TV many times, is when you get to about 28, 29, 30 years old, a lot of pro athletes, especially in basketball, football, baseball, team sports, you don't have a long career. Your career's pretty much over by then. And a lot of them when they get done, like you have all this NIL money now in college, a lot of these college kids, a very small percent makes it to the next level in the pros. So even those kids too, especially by the time they're 28 to 30 years old, all that money they have is they don't a lot of them don't know how to spend it well nowadays. The money's gone, and they get to that age range, and they don't really know what to do with their life. They have no desires, no ambitions. They're starting over from basically nothing, from scratch. And I think it's a dark, or I'll say it's a very dangerous road. A lot of people nowadays are going down, especially my age group, because they're not really seeing where they're really heading where they're leading themselves into down the road. They're trying to instantly satisfy themselves right now. They're trying to buy everything. They were trying to buy a marriage. They're trying to buy a job. They're trying to buy success. They're trying to buy likes. They're trying to buy popularity and trying to cheat the process. But when you do that, that doesn't last. Like, it does not last because what happens is it's fake. It's not real. Even if you look at relationships, I mean, how many imagine what the divorce rate's gonna be in 5 years from now? It's already high now. You imagine what's gonna be 5 years from now? And you imagine what that's gonna be like on people when you get out of that and you realize that person really just used you and abused you, or it's unfortunate in some cases, or just, and you're starting over again. You gotta heal from that. Now you gotta carry that baggage and that weight and that guilt, and then y look at the athletes, like, a lot of them said when they have to start over in life, or just a lot of people in life, they're not starting on strong foundations. We're trying to it's like Tony Evans said one time, there's so many people trying to establish things and look a certain way on things and portray a certain image on a chicken coop foundation. That's all you see nowadays. And so that's why what helps me where I'm at in my life, yeah, there's certain things I haven't achieved yet. Yeah, there's certain things I haven't maybe I can't say I've done yet, but there's a lot of things that I could say I believe not only have I experienced and gone through, but I feel like I'm ahead on. And I feel like I and prepared more for life in a lot of ways because of that experience I went through that 7 years. Yeah, it was hell. Yeah, it was, tough at times, but I wouldn't change it. I'm very thankful. That's what I'm most thankful for this year is the 7 years I went through. And I'm also most thankful for this year is the things God spared me from. God really spared me from a lot of things and a lot of environments and things and people that were not really meant for me, that really weren't me. I think a lot of times in nowadays society, we want things so bad, or we mean well in a lot of things, but there's a lot of people out there nowadays that will really don't give a shit about you, or people in certain environments that just really have the wrong intentions. And a lot of when I look back at the things I was pulled out of, the things God spared me from and redirect me away from, up until really in this year as well, it all makes sense now. Because looking back, I'm kind of like, man, that wasn't really. I didn't really like that environment or that situation. Like what I thought I wanted. It was really just my desire. Oftentimes, that was trying to trying to attain something to satisfy it. And sometimes, and that's what I'm getting at. A lot of people nowadays are their desires are so high, our ambitions are so high, it's getting egged on by social media, the dopamine effect, that we're trying to talk ourselves into things we really don't like, and then people we really don't see ourselves with, or have a really like a connection with, or really are maybe aren't healthy for us either, or situations or environments or job. I mean, just anything that we have a desire towards, and and we get really impatient. We start to get anxious. That causes a lot of people's anxiety. Because it's a feeling. Any type of feeling and emotion nowadays that people view as negative. That's something I had to learn. When I would feel those moments of impatience, right, or impatience or ambition, you can start to feel down and depressed about yourself, and you can start to throw yourself a pity party and start playing the victim card, and all that stuff. But that causes a lot of people's anxiety though, because it makes them feel uncomfortable. So when you feel that uncomfortableness nowadays in our society, we don't really know how to. A lot of people really can't identify what anxiety really is, because they just if they do, they want to go to a coping mechanism. They want to try to stop it immediately and just keep fighting it and just try to live with it. Well, we don't really believe that, because we're not taught in our society that you really can, if you understand what anxiety is and you can surrender to it, and you can live with it, and you can. The more you understand that, like for instance, if you feel a symptom, you feel that nervousness in your stomach when you're thinking about something, a desire, or you're down about something, or you're having a bad day, and you're feeling that anxiety. And this is something I'm thankful I learned for this year, which is serenity. But also, those are all just feelings that are trying to look out for you, and that it's just a feeling, it's just an emotion. And when you look at things from that perspective, you see how simple they really are. And there's been things I've been doing this year where in the past, when I'm feeling certain emotions, I would have just ran home, panicked, called somebody, stay in the house, get me the hell out of here now, you know, panic mode in the car, whatever. Where now, if I feel certain things, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, I know what anxiety is now. I've overcame it. If I feel it, I have a very strong, healthy, and trustworthy relationship with it because I know what it is. And that's the same thing in life. And kind of what I'm getting at today, which is, yeah, we have certain ambitions and desires, and they can sometimes we can feel down. We can feel down about things. Sometimes we just have a bad day, and sometimes we just feel down, and sometimes we're just get a little impatient, and sometimes we're like, God, how much longer is it going to take? And that's completely normal because you got to remember, have grace upon yourself because you are human. We're all human. We have flesh within us. We're not perfect people, never will be. But by the grace of God, are we saved and forgiven? And He keeps us going. But when you understand that, also is it's okay to feel those things. I don't have to fight them though, and I don't have to get rid of them. And that's a perspective that I had to learn. It's something I'm very thankful for because it takes time to practice that. But a lot of people though will throw themselves in wrong directions all the time because they're trying to stop that feeling, or they'll settle for things, or like I said earlier, they'll talk themselves into things they really don't like just to feel accepted in a way, feel secure. You know, that's one thing nowadays. A lot of people. That's why one of the reasons why you're gonna see a divorce rate high down the road, like I was mentioned earlier, just popped in my head, is because I need some water. Shout Perrier, but or Perrier or whatever it's called. But one of the reasons why you'll see that is because a lot of people nowadays, ever since COVID, people just don't feel secure. There was something about being locked in your house for how many months we were in there. And for me, I know that because I was in my house for a lot longer than a lot of you guys were. And so when COVID came around, it wasn't anything new to me. It was fine. It didn't bother me as much because I was used to that. And I was actually already starting to get out more anyways back then, going around town more, doing some of those things. But when stuff closed down and you had to just stay in your house, yeah, it was weird. I was like, we've never seen that before, but it didn't really bother me because I had already been through it. And so I was actually helping a lot of people in that time going through it because I could identify with what everyone was going through. But when you're in a house like that and you're not used to being out in that house like that, you're used to being out and all those distractions, right? With things we could distract ourselves from. And I mentioned this before in a book from Tony Evans. He mentioned this. And a lot of people, they could not distract themselves, obviously, in that time because there was nothing you could do. You were in your home. It was just you, maybe a significant other, your family, a husband or a spouse or a girlfriend, boy, or whatever, or maybe you and a family member, or maybe just by yourself. But life slowed down. And a lot of people, they had that time to reflect every single day. And all you see on the news every single day, too, was just bad news, bad news, bad news. And you just felt like the world was just coming to an end, right? And you wonder, when do we ever get back to normalcy again? And it was just a crazy year in general in our country and around the world. But a lot of people, though, you're seeing the repercussions from that because a lot of people came out of that, number one, coming out trying to run like hell to never feel like that again and trying to distract even more. But also, number two, they didn't feel secure. People felt safe. People didn't feel safe, and they didn't feel secure. And so, a lot of times, when people don't feel secure, whether it's in that situation there, or maybe they're going through a letdown, a traumatic incident, maybe somebody let them down, maybe their heart's broken, or maybe you just went through something bad, traumatic, some type of traumatic incident, traumatic whatever that's traumatic to you. Trauma doesn't have to be just like how we view trauma in society. Trauma is anything that affects you in a negative way, and that can, especially mentally, and carrying that emotional guilt or whatever. Maybe not guilt, but just that emotional baggage from that experience, that trauma, right? Um, a lot of people didn't feel secure, they didn't feel safe, and so that's why a lot of what you're seeing nowadays now, almost 4 years later, going on this year, a lot of what I outlined earlier, just people are very rushing into things, selling for things, trying to buy happiness. Unfortunately, nowadays, some people are even like to the point where they're losing their mind. Like they're selling their morals as well. to try to satisfy things without and not caring who they take out in the process, who they hurt in the process. Just it's all about them at the end of the day. People are very selfish nowadays. And it's a lot of it's that. People just trying to find that security. But you can only find real true security, obviously, in Jesus and in Christ. And if you want true security in your life, try mastering, especially if you're somebody who deals with anxiety and been going through that like I did. If you want to find true security, practice serenity, practice gratitude. Gratitude is what helps you, is the main ingredient for patience and for healing, in my opinion. Gratitude and thankfulness is essential, very essential. And it also just reminds us of our dependence on Him. And if you're somebody out there that doesn't believe in God, if you, that's fine. I'm not judging you. But it also, if you got to ask yourself though, if even if you don't believe in God, what are you really thankful for? You have to be thankful for something. I mean, your life can't be that bad. If you're still sitting here today listening to this video, yeah, stuff right might be going bad, but guess what? You're not the only one that's gone through stuff. I'm not the only one that's gone through shit. We've all gone through shit, but everybody chooses to respond to things differently. You have a choice to maybe you can't change your situation financially right now, or you can't get out of a hole right now, or there's certain things you want in your life right now you just can't obtain, or whatever. But you can choose your mindset, your perspective. That's on you. And you're not the only one that's been there. You're never alone in any situation. Everybody's been through. Jesus went through everything that we could think of, every temptation, everything. And he went through a lot worse than we went through on that cross. We'll ever go through in life. Not even close. And so, but again, I'm not the only one that's gone through what I went through either. And I didn't know that until I started putting myself out there and connecting with people and finding out that, man, there's other people that deal with agoraphobia too. There's other people that haven't left their house in a long time too. People I've actually even met, and they were going through way worse than what I went through. And there's people out there that go through like real life things and have real big responsibilities. And a lot of times, some of them are even paying the repercussions of mistakes they made in their past. But they're trying now, but it's just hard for them to get back on their feet. Like there's people out there going through some real life stuff. It's like the guy I witnessed to at the gas station back in August. I mentioned on my 99th episode. Go check it out. A gentleman by the name of Jared, and the guy was just came out of a relationship. I think you could tell he had some substance issues maybe he was dealing with, or alcohol. Was the guy was just going through a rough patch. He was spiritually being attacked, and he was just going through it. And I pulled up on the gas station that day, and he was outside, and he. I told him when I come back out, maybe I'll give him something, because I wasn't really sure. And when I came out, he was talking to me. We talked a little bit. He said he guarded my bike for me, so I thought that was nice. So I had some spare change I gave him, and I just sat and talked to him. And you could tell the guy just wanted somebody to talk to. And the guy told me he's been sleeping down by the river, up by the water every night, and you could tell he just looked like hell too. It just had, he looked like he had slept in a month, and his clothes were dirty, had dirt all over him, and guy was just like, I'm trying, man. I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there." And it got to the point though where I told him, I witnessed to him, told him about Jesus, told him about Christ, and I said, "He'll get you through it." And I had my chain on me, my cross, and I pointed to this, and I said, "Hey, God will get you through it." And I've been in some tough times, man, but I said, just hang in there. It'll get better. It'll get better. Like I was trying to give the guy some type of encouragement and whatever. I don't remember exactly what I said. It was just kind of, it all happened so fast that day. But and I wasn't even supposed to go to that gas station that day. Something led me to there. It was like God detoured me there to meet this guy. And um so a lot of things I don't even remember what I exactly said because I was just speaking in the moment from my heart. And it got to the point there where he grabbed my hand, I grabbed his, and I prayed for the guy. He asked me to, and obviously I'm not going to tell somebody no, no matter who you are. Um, and I prayed for the guy right there. And as soon as I got done, he said, "Hey man, I feel so much better already." And I was like, "That's awesome. I'm glad I could help. You've helped me." And he did help me, and I'll always remember that guy. That guy. It helps me with my perspective. It helps me what I'm really grateful for. I'm thankful that God spared me from a lot of things. I could have been like that guy, And he was telling me his life, though. Like I was saying, he kind of got out. His wife threw him out of the house or something like that, or his girlfriend or somebody he was with. The guy was heartbroken, and you could tell he was having a hard time dealing with it, and probably didn't have anybody else in his life. And I went actually a week went by after that, and he was still outside there asking people for money, and him and some other guy, and he actually came up to me. He remembered me from a week later, and he was like, I said, "How you doing?" He goes, "I'm hanging in there, man. It's getting tough though. I'm just barely hanging on." I told him, I said, "Remember what I told you, Jared, about last week about the Lord?" And I said, "Just keep praying, just keep talking to him." I told him, I said, "Just keep talking to him." Because that's kind of what helped me when I was going through my low moments. Just keep talking to God. Sometimes we're so tired, we don't feel like talking at all, but God just wants us to keep talking to him. Just keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. You ever heard like a, I used to love watching like cop shows growing up, like SWAT and stuff. It's like certain hostage situations or something like that. You ever, the negotiators? People always tell me I should be a negotiator, which I probably could because I probably could talk to me, but just from my experience. But that's one of the keys, though, is just having somebody just keep talking. Because what really drives a lot of people to do crazy things or commit crimes, or not all, but a lot, most people just have that or be down in the dumps like that guy in that moment. It's just pain. It's emotional baggage. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to. So their way of dealing with it is coping with it in a negative way or taking it out on other people. And so it's very important to get people to keep talking. I told him that. I said, Jared, just keep talking to people. Just keep talking to people. Just keep talking, or not talking to people. Keep talking to the Lord. Keep talking to the Lord, Jared. And so that was in August. And it was about, my birthday was September 1st. It was about the end of that month. It was right around it was like August 30th, I think it was. I went out to lunch with my mother in town. And it was right around the corner from there. Took her out to lunch. And we're sitting there. We walk into this place, and we're sitting there. And there's like a bar next to us. It's like a little, like a Wayne Burger place. We were just stopped into, got a bite to eat real quick, and we're in there eating. And all of a sudden, I look over, and guess who walks in? Jared walks in, and he comes up and he sits by the bar. And I looked at him. I was like, and he looked like a totally different person. He was clean, had clean clothes on, nice hair, like everything was cleaner. And he comes in, he's meeting these people at the bar there. I don't know who they were, but he was meeting them. I guess, and all these people were kind of helping him out. And I'm here. He didn't recognize me because I was kind of sitting in the booth. I didn't want to disrupt him. I was just shocked that I saw him. Like I was like, man, I just saw this guy like 2, 3 weeks ago. Man, he was like barely hanging on for life. He was living outside. Now he looks like he's got a place to stay, clean clothes. And I'm hearing him talking to these people at the bar. He's right next to me, and I'm just kind of like this, looking and listening. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing well now. I'm with this new girl now. Somebody, I don't know how, but he said the girl he was with now helping him get back on his feet. And he's trying to do well, trying to get a job and just stay busy and just get back in life and get back to normalcy. And it was incredible. And that's one of the biggest things I'm thankful for this year, was to meet that guy, and to hopefully some way God used me. God clearly answered my prayer for the guy because he took him out of that situation. I hope he's still doing there. I haven't seen him since. I hope he's still doing well now. I still pray for him to this day. But that guy will always have an impact on my life. And just to see too how patience. That's an example of patience. I'm gonna wrap up this segment with this. That was an example of patience. All the things I mentioned earlier, about how people are so impatient, how people are settling and throwing out their morals, getting rid of not protecting their dignity and all this, and let social media drive you. Look how God took a guy like that. This guy was sleeping down by a river, heavy on probably some drugs, heavy on the alky, um, barely hanging on for life, kind of probably questioning his life, to be honest with you. Sleeping down by water with bugs and dirty clothes, not having nobody else to go to. You're sitting outside of a gas station on a crate, playing a harmonica, trying to ask people for money because you know what I mean. Your life's just down to the bare minimum, to nothing. But look how fast God took that guy just like that in 2 weeks, basically 2, 3 weeks, 21 days. In 21 days, that guy's whole life flipped just like that. So if you just have a little patience and a little gratitude, and I really want you guys, when you're sitting there today on Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, it just comes and goes. It's just one day where we all go in the morning, we see our families, we eat our meals, we watch football, and by the end of the day, we're like, all right, this Thanksgiving's over with. We kind of forget about it all. And we just move on. We move on Saturday to the game. But, we kind of just move on with our life. It was just another day. But I challenge you guys, and I challenge myself even to this Thanksgiving to really sit there and just look at that. Think of that story. Think of all the things God spared you from. Think of all the things God's cared you. And think of, yeah, there's certain things I don't have. And you might be sitting there at Thanksgiving and this year, and yeah, I saw a meme earlier today where somebody was saying like, when my family asked me at Thanksgiving why haven't I met a girlfriend yet? And the guy's like, quit asking me, right? Or maybe somebody will ask you, well, how come your career's not this yet? Or maybe if you're around your family this year, maybe not, but if you're around a certain environment or people this Thanksgiving, or you feel a little, maybe you have your own you feel insecure yourself about certain things, and it gives you that anxiety or that fear, that depression, right? That low moment. Really focus on all those other things, that gratitude, and focus on what Thanksgiving really is, and focus on what God has really spared you from, and focus on how far God has brought you and how God's holding you to this point. And think of people like Jared. Think of all the things that we don't really pay attention to in the world. And a lot of people are kind of out la la, like people I was mentioning earlier, just kind of trying to buy happiness and buy everything and trying to cover up their pain and hurting other people they're kind of out just la la land and not really knowing that they're really heading down a path that's an endless pit, that it's not going to turn out to be what they think it is. And the people that just have a little patience and hang in there, if you just hang in there and keep talking to God, and just have a little patience, watch where it takes you. You'd be like Jared. God will take you from point A to point B just like that. Just like that. And so that's what helps me now in this process for me of getting out of that prison I was in and kind of just getting reacclimated back into life. Um, I think one of the challenges too I've had to work on with my relationships is just when I was in those years, there was people that reached out to me, friends and stuff, but I was so insecure and I was so down. I just kind of hid myself from everybody. So one of the things I've had to work on recently, which has been hard at times, because people are older, more responsibilities now, and we're just older, life is went on. Is trying to really tell people like, hey, it wasn't you guys. Like, you don't gotta shy away from me. You don't gotta, keep me. You don't have to be careful around me, because like sometimes the people with anxiety, they feel like they have to be, or people that are around people with anxiety, they feel like they have to be careful with them, or you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anything. But no, no, no. But you don't have to be like that at all. And I'm beyond that now. But also, it's trying to tell people like, hey, this is what I went through. This is what I had to go through, what I had to deal with. This is why I didn't come around, and a lot of people, I haven't really had to do that though, because a lot of people just understand by listening to my show, but also just understand like, hey man, I'm glad you're just back. Like we don't really care. And a lot of times we get in their own head. And that's something I've had to work on. But that's one thing that's kind of rebuilding my relationships. Rebuilding relationships post anxiety is a real thing. Just kind of like part of getting out of that prison. And so that's another thing I've had to work on. But God's really helped me there, and I think I just know and expect that in time things will start to heal. And God's also led me to new relationships as well with new people that are kind of met me where I'm at now. And so sometimes you kind of have to go meet people where they are as well. And that's something I'm learning now and I'm doing. So, but that's something I'm thankful for this year, though, is all that perspective and all that clarity. Because I finally feel free in my life. And I finally feel like I'm at a point now where I can really just let go and move on in my life. That chapter's over with. Continue to do the show and continue to help you guys and hopefully inspire people and have fun. Just enjoy life. So, that's a message for the first segment. That was a little longer than I wanted to go, but that's okay. Who cares? I actually had a video for you guys today, a clip I want to play for the anxiety guy. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play this quick break real quick. I'm gonna regroup, and I'll come back and give like a quick 5-10 minute segment. I'm not gonna go that long, so I want to keep this shorter. And I really just want to play this clip from the anxiety guy, and a lot of it's kind of goes a little bit into what I was talking about earlier. He's gonna talk about this is more towards anxiety. He's gonna mention about putting light through darkness. And I think this will be a good thing for you guys to really marinate on with today's message on the way out of here and really think about. Since you're somebody that's really going through something right now. So give me about 2 minutes to kind of regroup, and I'll be back, and we'll play the video. Go.
It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control. A saying my dad used to always say was, man plans while God laughs.
Mm.
I had a plan for my life. Like, oh, I was gonna
Mm-hmm.
be. I'm talking about from as soon as I
Yeah.
can remember my first thought. I'm gonna be in the NFL. I'm gonna be, a quarterback.
Right.
I'm gonna, like my life was
Yeah, I'm
made
gonna have
back
all this
then.
money. I'm gonna get any
Yeah,
girl I
all this
want. I'm gonna have all these
money.
cars. Hey,
Yeah,
that's gonna be good.
I'm talking Beyonce is gonna be like, hey, what are you doing
What's
today?
up?
Then Rihanna tomorrow. Like it was this plan I had for my life. And as I got older, obviously the plans got smaller, but I still continue to plan. Um, Something that I do now, and I would recommend everybody doing every single night when I pray. What I used to do was say, God, allow me to pass this test. God, allow me to, meet this girl. God, allow, this date to go well, this day to go well. When I go to sleep every single night, what I pray for is for God's will to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Because He obviously knows what He's doing. I don't.
Right.
Because if I knew what I was doing, I wouldn't be talking about Baker on the Browns. I'd be on the Browns right now. If
Mm-hmm.
I knew if I followed my plan, Beyonce would be hitting me up. She hasn't hit me up. I must have missed that call or something.
All right. She don't want some of bake.
Right? She doesn't want the AMP producer. She has a billionaire husband or something.
All right.
It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control.
Mm-hmm.
From the moment I wake up, God is in control. So
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to the real Joseph Latman. Time to move on now to my next segment with the anxiety guy. So like I said, kind of going on with today's message. He's going to really talk about putting light through darkness here. This was from his live. He did this live over the weekend. I believe it was Saturday or Sunday morning. I can't remember exactly. I think it was Saturday. I can't remember exactly, but it was this past weekend. He did a live. Now, by the way, if you're not subscribed to Dennis, go subscribe to the Anxiety Guy on YouTube. Um, he's also on all social media platforms. And you need any questions about your anxiety, your healing, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to him. Like it says down here below on the ticker. I'll put it in the description as well. Yeah, definitely highly recommend subscribing to him. And so, but in this clip though from this live, I was outside doing leaves the other day. Where I live, I got a ton of leaves I got to do, so I had to get it done because they came and picked them up this week. So this was actually, yeah, it was Saturday morning because I listened to this Saturday as I was doing the leaves. I was out there for a while, so I'm tarping leaves. I'm listening to it, and this one part really stood out to me. This young lady asked a question, um, and then the question when he answered his response to the question, rather, excuse me, he really goes on about talking about putting light through darkness, and he talked about a lot about too about what I mentioned earlier about people hoping things go away, and how people try to cope with their symptoms, cope with their challenges in life, and try to bulldoze their way to success or try to buy things to get instant gratification or to feel better. And a lot of it goes with just being content with where you are, but also serenity, and also which he mentions, but also this it's a mindset, it's a perspective here, which he's about to get into. And this mindset and perspective is really how you will find true happiness and peace in life and how you really achieve the things you really want. And not only achieve the things you want, the things God really has designed for you. And so, like, for instance, like me as a single person, I can go out, yeah, and just settle with anybody. But God has somebody customly made for me, as Tony Evans said in a sermon. God has somebody custom made for me. God had a custom made journey for me. God had this podcast custom made for me. My calling, my divine purpose in life is custom made for me. just like you have one too, and all those things and much more. Um, so that's kind of what this mindset and perspective is all about, and it kind of goes along too with gratitude, grace, and perspective. And so, and patience rather, not perspective. Um, and so I'm gonna play this clip here from my man. Go subscribe, Dennis Simsek, the anxiety guy. I'll link the slide below as well if you want to check out the full live. But without further ado, this is about I think it's about 5 to 7 minutes. I'm just gonna let it play out, and then I'll give my comments on it, and then we'll close out. So yeah, I'll be back.
Random, totally random YouTube live. I wasn't able to promote it much. Sometimes I just like jumping on here. Kayla Berry, is it possible for extreme anxiety to make you feel absent-minded and just in darkness? Yes. I dealt with insomnia last week, and it made me feel like I was in darkness and depression. Yes. Now remember, okay? First of all, is it possible for extreme anxiety to make you feel absent? Yes, absent-minded. And there's a reason for that, Kayla. There's a reason for the anxiety choosing to make you feel absent-minded. I remember during my journey with an anxiety disorder, multiple anxiety disorders, fatigue, nervous system dysregulation, burnout, I couldn't even put a sentence together. I literally could not put a sentence together. I was so bogged up in my head trying to find the right words that nothing came out. I don't know. Can you relate to that? In terms of the darkness, the truth is this, right? And this is something that everybody here needs to understand. If there is something that is perceived as being darkness and is connected to the anxiety, the way to heal it is to begin bringing the light to that darkness. You cannot look at the darkness and say, I hope this goes away. You cannot look at the darkness and say, I hope I can take something so that I can suppress what I'm feeling. That's not the way to heal, my friends. The way to heal is to shine a bright light on the darkness, to reveal it so that we can heal it. Now remember, you're feeling absent-minded, we go directly to it, right? It wasn't until I started to, for example, the dizziness, right? I remember, because for a very long time, the dizziness, I was trying to get rid of it. I was frantically drinking tea. I was exercising strenuously. I was, I was trying to sleep as much as I could, but which is great. The rest part is very important, but I was doing it in a frantic way, hoping that something would go away. And it wasn't until I began sitting there, right, with the dizziness, it was like, all right, let's get to the bottom of this, right? And as I was sitting there with the dizziness, guys, or whatever symptom, I found myself feeling more connected to the root causes of all these symptoms, right? And I was going, why are you really here? Why are you making my life so difficult? Why are you so afraid? Why? And then I started asking, what is it going to take to feel safe again? What is it going to take to overcome this symptom, this label, this disorder? And so Kayla and everybody else here, like I said, you gotta shine a light on these symptoms. In order to heal, you have to go inwards. When I was doing a few years back, when I was really active doing seminars, we were doing them in California and Vancouver on the West Coast. We used to lay down mats and people used to lay down and we used to do things that people were not used to. With anxiety, you've got to help someone step out of their comfort zone, not give them what they expect. If you continue to be given the information that you expect to hear on a daily basis, it becomes very difficult. So we would lay there and we would start conversing with the lower self. We would start conversing with the symptoms. We would go directly to it. And then after all of that reconnecting, people were starting to cry, right? And crying is one of those things, as long as you're not crying as a victim on a daily basis, but crying because you have reconnected with the deepest parts of you that is connected to the anxiety. And the deepest parts of you are saying, hey, give us a break, slow down, right? Don't work so many hours if that's a possibility. Don't put yourself out there so much. We don't need this much exposure therapy. Feel bored once in a while. Calm your nervous system, right? Give me the love, the lower self is saying, the inner child. Give me the love. Give me the understanding. I'm trying to send you these symptoms as signals and signs that you need to gear down. You need to slow down. You need to start getting back in touch with your spiritual side and not get so caught up on your frantic side, looking for answers on the outside. With the symptoms, guys, go inwards. Go inwards. Don't be afraid. Don't keep looking for reassurance. Reassurance seeking is like a drug, right? The more you get it, the more you need it. Okay. So if you're here looking for that reassurance, understand that if someone's giving it to you, you're going to want more of it. You're going to need more of it in the future. That's not the way. I want that to speak to you guys deeply, and I'm glad you heard that message. And if you are actually going about your day right now, creating a better relationship with your sensations and symptoms, listening, giving yourself exactly what you need that you haven't been giving to yourself for years, unknowingly, then you're on the right track. And I commend you, right? Step out of that frantic place and go inwards. All these symptoms can be healed. The anxiety can be healed. You are not anxiety. Anxiety is not who you are. Anxiety is a chapter in your life that you haven't learned from yet. You haven't grown out of yet. Anxiety is an opportunity to evolve into your true self, to give yourself the rest, to give yourself the love, to go inwards and begin healing from the inside out rather than the outside in. If you continue to look to heal from the outside in, you're always going to be looking to heal your symptoms. We heal from the inside out, my friends. You go about your day and you're shaking and you're dizzy and you feel like you're in an electrical socket and you're tired and you're fatigued and you get the message and you give back to your body exactly what it's asking for. Now you're healing. All right. Now you're healing. Hi, Sonia. How are you?
Yeah, so that's the part I wanted to share there. All those things he said in that segment right there. A lot of powerful things there. Like I said, I'll post that live down below. You guys go check out the whole thing. That was the 24-minute mark as well. If you want to go back and listen to that exactly, but I highly recommend you listen to the whole thing and put it all in perspective. But man, some great things he said there. I wrote down some points though. First one I want to start with is like he mentioned there. A lot of people nowadays. This kind of goes with the broader grand scheme of things I was mentioning earlier about society. How many people are looking for answers, right? People don't feel secure. People are trying to find things to satisfy them, to meet needs, or to portray. They feel like they have to. They're buying into that false way of life that people are. That social media is jamming down. Society's jamming down our throat right now. That says you have to be X, Y, and Z. You need to look X, Y, and Z. You need to portray yourself as X, Y, and Z to be accepted, right? And oftentimes it's not just society. It could be your own family, maybe the community you grew up in. I've been around some people in certain communities that one of them God spare me from, but another way. That's just kind of how it was. Like it was just a lot of pressure on the parents put on the kids and just and the community itself. It was very clicky, but very also just you had to look a certain way. It's all about image and status and trying to fit in and look like it's just very bizarre nowadays. A lot of these things that how people are, but to me, it's just like uh, it's to me it's nuts because it's a lot of people though that are really they're looking for the answers, and when they feel those things, or they feel that they feel left out, or they feel that pressure from people, or they feel that guilt that's not really real. It's like a false guilt people put on them. Um, they look for those answers. They don't go inward though. They look for the answers on the outwardly. And when you look for answers outwardly, you're not really, oftentimes you're not starting with God first, and you kind of put God to the side, and you just try to like, yeah, because you feel like you have to take control. But you have to remember that's all it is control, and we're trying to control things, and by happy and trying to cheat the process in a way, trying to achieve certain things. But you have to start with God first. You have to submit to God first, and you have to submit to your core first. What's truthful, like he said there, spiritually is like he mentioned spirit there. How spiritually you need the revival. Oftentimes, when you're going through that kind of anxiety disorder like that, you need to go inward more spiritually more than anything, and kind of rejuvenate that, grow more in that area in your life, and go inwards. And a lot of people don't do that though. And a lot of times, what we see nowadays too is just playing the victim card and not really being having a lot of gratitude or patience. And people don't realize I didn't, I forgot about this too. I heard it in the sermon the other day. Sin, one of the sins that nobody talks about is ingratitude, being ungrateful, and just how that mindset and that mentality, how it can really poison us and wear on us and make us look outwards and not go inwards. We look for those answers outwardly. And I like what he said there too. It can turn into a reassurance seeking is like a drug. And reassurance seeking can go many different ways in a bad way. If you like he said, if you constantly are reassurance seeking, you're constantly trying to, am I okay? Am I fitting in? Or hey everybody, look at me. Like you're trying to portray a certain image. You're trying the reassurance seeking, and really ask yourself what he's talking about reassurance seeking more in terms of a health anxiety way, which I experienced. But like I said, reassurance seeking can go many different ways. Trying to seek reassurance, you're trying to ask people they like you. Am I accepted? Am I worthy enough? Is my status high enough or whatever? Right? Things like that. Have I made a certain? Have I arrived in life and all this stuff we buy into nowadays? Reassurance seeking is like a drug, and I think reassurance seeking is the drug for ingratitude, in my opinion. Because if you really have a heart full of gratitude, doesn't mean we're all in here. Sometimes, like guys, a lot of things I say I've had to apply to myself. Okay, but it also is, like I said earlier, you have that choice. I had to choose to, and sometimes look myself in the mirror to choose to focus on that truth because I know the anxiety it caused me and the pain it caused me. Because I remember those 7 years. I remember the down moments, and I know what works and what doesn't work for me, and so, and what's truthful and what's not. But if ingratitude is a sin, I would say reassurance seeking is like the drug for it because it all spirals in a negative way, and a lot of people sell their soul, sell their dignity. Nowadays, unfortunately, sell their pride. I mean, pride in terms of like being prideful for Christ, and or maybe not pride, but well, you guys know what I mean. Like kind of. Well, I already said it. It's kind of selling their souls, kind of not, you know, putting Christ aside. I guess you could say, not having that sense of dignity and respect rather for themselves, and sense of it's not popular nowadays to stand in God's word and stand on truth and stand for God. That's really what I'm getting at. Being prideful for Christ, being proud to be a Christian is really what I'm trying to say. That proudness, that honor, and sharing that love and light with people in the world. That's not very accepted nowadays. So people shy away from that because they're trying to find that reassurance from the world. And it just causes a lot of those things we talked about earlier today. And a lot of that anxiety that people feel nowadays is from that. A lot of the things he mentioned there is from that. And just he said, but he laid it all out right there. I mean, he said it perfectly. Go inwards. Look for the answers inwardly, and really be honest with yourself. Pray to God. It's like I told Jared. Keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking to the Lord. Right. But also too, apply patience, compassion towards yourself, and gratitude, and simplicity too is another great one. But I would say, especially gratitude, and how it helps with patience, compassion, and simplicity. It all starts with gratitude. And gratitude, a lot of, is really look back and take the lessons that it shows you. He mentioned that there as well. Take the lessons. What is the lesson that this chapter of my life is trying to show me right now? Whatever. If I'm going through something right now, it's really hard. If I've been in a season of trouble for a long time, or pain, or sorrow, or this healing, or trying to get over the past, or something, maybe a former relationship, or whatever. What's the lesson God's trying to teach me here? What are the lessons this chapter, this, like he said there, what is the chapter, what are the lessons this chapter of my life, what its anxiety is trying to teach me? And really focus on the lessons, and give back to, I like what he said too there, give back to yourself. Give back to yourself in a healthy way. A lot of people nowadays, they try to get back to themselves, they do it in a very negative way, um, which here, it's very easy to do nowadays. There's so many ways in our society nowadays. It's all out in the open, temptation and everything. You can get back to your way in a negative way, but it's not healthy for you. And especially certain things we know aren't right. But people nowadays don't get back themselves in a healthy way. We don't really see a lot of that either. We're such a rat race society. We're so go 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 that we really beat ourselves up in a lot of ways. And we start to, when we're just naturally conditioned nowadays to just beat ourselves up, and just go all day, every day, just nonstop. And we start to beat ourselves up when we do that, just out of habit, just out of, it just comes natural to us. We don't get back to ourselves in a compassionate, patient, gentle, simple manner, and have that sense of gratitude. We don't do that as much. And so those are the things that I would highly recommend to start applying if you're somebody going through that. Things I had to apply too. And I think too, you really just have to, um, one of the things one of the things I'm really most thankful for, and I'll end with this, is sometimes you really have to distance yourself from the outside world. And what I mean by that is not, I don't mean avoid people or live like a hermit. What I mean is sometimes you have to distance your perspective, is what I meant to say, from the outside world, and kind of look at things, look at what God says, and look at what the world says. And one of the things I'm most thankful for in that 7 years, as hard as it was, and the things I was away from, and times I felt lonely, but I really wasn't lonely though. God was right there with me. God was teaching me. He was taking me in His master class and pulling me closer to Him. And He showed me His perspective on things, and He showed me the world's perspective on things, and what was really going on at the time, and what has escalated to up until today. And He taught me all His lessons and things. I would have never been as drawn as close to or near to God had I not been through what I went through. And so, what's more important than that? Nothing. And so, we have to all really ask ourselves, and I would ask ourselves this Thanksgiving. You know, like I said earlier, what can I be really grateful about? Because a lot of times when you really sit and you take the lessons, like Dennis said, and really look back at a lot of things maybe God spared you from, or maybe you have to sit and check yourself and say, I'm really been stressing out about this, this, and this, and is it really does it really matter to God? Does it really matter to my life even in general? Like, is it really worth all of that? All the stress and anxiety, or the hoops, or and all the stuff I've had to go through, or whatever? Does it really mean anything? Does it have any like real substance to it? Because a lot of times we find out nowadays, a lot of things we're all chasing, that we're programmed and conditioned to all we see now, really isn't, and we're not focusing on the right things, and we've lost touch with gratitude. So hopefully, this Thanksgiving, be a light in your home. Share this message with other people. Share gratitude. You don't have to share it. Sometimes you're not gonna say things. I don't think nowadays they even say it. You just got to display it. You just got to act in a sense of gratitude. Be that Christ-like behavior. We're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect, but I'm telling you guys, the more you get yourself in that space and you focus on that gratitude and you focus on that serenity, you watch what happens. You just watch the peace that comes through to you, but also just your perspective changes, and that anxiety and that fear and that panic and the worry and the insecurities and the depression and all that lessons, and it heals itself in time the more you apply that. And so that's what I really challenge you guys with this year on Thanksgiving, and that's what I've challenged myself with this year, and I'm most thankful for. And I'm also most thankful for you guys, and I'm very thankful to all you guys, my supporters, um, from the beginning and along the way. We've had some new people. Our live streams have been gaining a lot more traffic, new subscribers. So I really appreciate that. Um, but yeah, I really appreciate you guys. I'm really thankful for you guys. More do you know it. People have supported me through all this last year and a half, going on 2 years now in April. Um, Over 100 episodes, as you can see there to sign. And yeah, I'm very thankful to God to be in this position for where I'm at in my life. Obviously, there's certain things I want to achieve, not just with this, my career, with this, but also just my personal life as well. But I know God's taking me there, and I trust God in His timing. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with is this: allow God to use you for something greater than what you see. That's something we don't think about a lot, and that's my mindset. Like I said earlier, that seed that was planted into me as a kid about being something greater. That's really what it was. God had planted that seed within me, and you guys are just seeing it manifest it slowly. This is all just a little appetizer of what's to come from with my journey, but you guys as well. If I can do it, you guys can do it. So really ask yourself: am I really allowing myself? Am I really allowing God to use me for something greater, to impact people bigger than me, or impact people and do something that's bigger than me? Or am I trying to satisfy the world? That's what you got to ask yourself. And so, love all you guys. Like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. And go Bucks. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Gone.